David and you're watching iHunt TV. The concept of this video project is to capture the footage of my hunting adventures with an iPhone. This is the second episode of Season 3. We're going to take you through some of the footage from last year's Missouri firearms season, and then we're going to show you what happened this year, 2015, in the Missouri firearms season. We're going to also look at one of the most memorable hunts of the season so far to date, probably ever for me. And then we'll wrap things up with a target of opportunity with my bow. This segment is opening day 2014 Missouri firearms season. First, I have to qualify this by saying I love to deer hunt, but hunting with my bow is my first passion. I'm not opposed to picking up a rifle, however, and joining the hunt with my friends, but filming with an iPhone poses many challenges. The extreme cold drains batteries quickly. Getting the iPhone to mount on a rifle has proven somewhat problematic for me. I'm still working on trying to figure that out. I know that there's products out there, and I'll probably explore some of those and test some of those out and hopefully have something ready by next season. But anyway, on this 2014 hunt, I was sitting in a box stand, and I had my iPhone mounted on a tripod, so it was sitting in the window of the box stand. Well, I stood up to relieve myself of the pot of coffee that I had drank earlier that morning and moved the tripod out of the way, the window. So there I was standing in the window with my fly half down when a doe appeared out in front of me. So I grabbed my binoculars real quick and glassed up that way, and I noticed that there was another deer moving through the timber behind her. It was a decent 8-point buck. So I had to make a quick decision. I made the decision to grab my rifle and stuck it out. I took the shot. He dropped almost immediately, but unfortunately I wasn't able to film the harvest, so let's just pick up on the recovery. I was standing back there in that box blind, and the buck came out right in here. And I shot him. He was probably right in this area right in here anyway. He didn't go very far at all. So, there he be. Field dressed the deer real quick that I'd shot. I left my backpack and binoculars with the deer. I grabbed my rifle and headed back up to the box blind to get the rest of the gear I'd left in there. When I got to the base of the box blind, I leaned my rifle up against the tree next to the stand, and I laid. When I noticed as I was climbing up the steps, I noticed out in the field to the west that there was a doe out there. Actually, there were 2 does out there, and I laid down to avoid being seen. I'm laying on the steps of this box blind going up, but it wasn't long before this monster buck appeared and started bumping does. And of course, I've got an 8-pointer back on the ground behind me. So I grabbed my phone, which I did have, and I texted my one of the guys I hunt with, who was hunting in a ground blind not far away, with his new wife, newlyweds, and taking her on her first deer hunt and trying to score her first buck. So I texted them to make their way to my stand if they could. So they quickly made their way through the timber and joined me in the box blind. Well, the 2 does and the big shooter buck, they disappeared into a patch of timber in the grass field by the time they got there. So we just waited, and I didn't see them come out, but we just waited, figuring that they might come out. Well, just in a few minutes, another old buck appeared and presented a shot for Meagan. I never did see the deer she took when she took the shot, but I was standing holding my iPhone at arm's length over her shoulder, and managed to capture some of it. Well, here it is.
So you got a good. I mean, it's a good angle. So. Oh, gun's heavy. You just squeeze it whenever you're ready. Oh, I don't see him.
Like I said, I'm not as wound up during the farm season as I am when I'm chasing deer with my bow. But I've been blessed to be able to hunt the same farm with old school buddies since I was a teenager. I've killed my biggest deer on this farm, which has produced many trophies for our hunting party over the years. When my dad was alive, we all hunted together on the Michael Farm in Davies County. You know, hunting is not all about the kill. The camaraderie of deer camp is one thing I look forward to every firearm season. Seeing my old friends sharing stories and just the banter between Bill and his boys makes the trip worthwhile every year. The boys are all grown and now I get to share the hunt with their children.
You use some more than I do. Why?
Nothing.
You got nothing to drink?
What's he doing?
I still can't maneuver my damn clothes.
You got more clothes on than I do.
You're dressed up like a penguin.
Oh my gosh, it's cold out there.
It was cold walking up that through the hill.
Well, you know, I may just go down halfway up and have to lay there for an hour.
I go up as your first one in there, and it's got a pretty good slope there. It ain't so steep.
Well, that's what I'm planning on doing.
Somebody put on Facebook there, someplace they caught the seals having sex with penguins. Trying to have sex with a penguin.
But I've got a couple of spots close to home for those before and after work hunts. One particular farm is a 50-acre parcel with only about 3 acres of timber and 47 acres of hayfield. It does border some prime hunting grounds, so big bucks were not an uncommon sight here. If you look at the hit list segment I did in season 2, those pictures were taken in that hayfield. A couple of years ago, 2 weeks before the rut actually, the neighbors to the south decided to clear a fence row that was home to 2 of my best tree stands. I had to switch tactics and went to a ground blind. This year I set my ground blind right up next to a big hay bale in the wide open where I noticed the deer were crossing onto the property. Not seeing any shooters opening weekend of the Michael Farm, I ventured to my ground blind after work on a Tuesday to see if I could do any good. And probably about 15 minutes before dark, it's still shooting time, but I looked out in the field and I saw a buck about 400 yards out, and I glassed him. I could tell he had a decent rack on him, pretty heavy. Appeared to be an older deer, and but he was a long ways out and way out on the neighbor, so there's no way I was going to take a shot. Anyway, as I sat there, I noticed that he was walking away from me, and 500 yards out, in the open field, he meets up with another buck. Another nice buck. They were far enough away now that I couldn't tell how big he actually was, but the body on the other deer was bigger. Well, they kind of went nose to nose. They just sized each other up, I think, and then they turned and went opposite directions. Well, the one turned and made his way across the field 500 yards, coming right up to my ground blind, just like he read the script. And next thing I know, he's standing 75 yards where in the old fence row. I shot him, and he took off down across the field. And just as I cracked that shot, it's like it opened up the clouds and it started to rain. And he ran. I saw him go across 150 yards across the wide open field and hit the timber. So I jumped out and went down there quickly to try to find him. I knew that I had hit him good. There's no way that I could have missed him. Couldn't find any blood anywhere. So then I'm second guessing myself. I'm texting friends thinking I'm going to need help tracking this deer. Everybody's not home from work yet or whatever. They just weren't available. So I go down into the ditch where he entered, and I saw a little speck of blood, and it's starting to rain. I'm just kind of guessing where he went, saying, okay, if I was a deer, I'd go this way, and I got on his track, found another speck of blood, another speck of blood. It wasn't a lot. It was very little, sparse blood. I did run across one patch where he looked like he had stopped for just a split second, and so there was a little bit more blood there, but the trail between blood spots was non-existent. Anyway, I just started sweeping back and forth, and my flashlight hit the white belly down in the ditch. Of course, 100 yards in the timber, down into a ravine, down at the bottom was where he was at. So here I am by myself. I gutted him, and then it was the long trek in the rain trying to drag that deer up a hill through the timber, all the little buck brush and everything. Finally getting him out where I can get my four-wheeler to him and load him onto a trailer and get him home. But anyway, here's pictures of that buck. Well, the Missouri firearms season's over. and I'm back to shooting my bow. I've got 2 firearms tags left with my bow for does, which I can use archery tackle for, and I have 3 more tags with my bow as well. The neat thing about the Missouri archery season is that you have an opportunity to extend the hunting season. It runs from September 15th to January 15th, and you get 2 any deer permits and 2 turkey tags with your first purchase of a permit, your archery tag. And then you can buy as many bonus antlerless tags as you want. So I've already got 1 buck, and as you will see, a target of opportunity presents itself for me. So stay tuned and watch this. Well, as I mentioned earlier in the program, the hunt is not always about the kill. Sometimes it's just about being out in nature and enjoying God's creation, and just some quiet time, praying, sharing, just thinking about things. Sometimes thinking about nothing is a great way to get out and enjoy nature and just hunting. But when you're hunting with friends, it makes it extra special. You have memories that can be shared. So I want to share with you one of my most memorable hunts this year. I've got a new hunting buddy now.
Disobedient and full of pride, Father God, I've sinned against you. There you are with your arms open wide, despite the things that I put you through. The life you gave me, I've squandered. You blessed me richly, yet I turned away. Like a lost sheep, I just wandered. Can't believe my ears when I hear you say, welcome home, my prodigal son. Forgive me, Lord, for all the things that I've done. I've turned my back and
Hi, my name is Brendan. You're watching ITV, and this is my first deer.
He's already asleep in the blind. Well, you got to meet my grandson Braden. He's 3 years old, and we actually made it all the way to the end of shooting light. So he was in the ground blind with me for about 2 hours, and we ate a lot of trail mix, and we did some stuff on the iPad. But we actually saw 2 deer, and he got to experience that with me. We got a great time, and I hope that you will see him in future episodes of iHunt TV, as I have a hunting buddy now that I hope will be with me for a long time. We'll be moving out of the firearms season and post-rut episodes into the late season, one of my favorite times. I have the right gear, the IWAM suit, the inner warmth, outer mobility apparel. I want to share that with you in the next episode to show you why you shouldn't go out in the winter hunting woods without it. It is a great piece of gear to have, well worth the investment, and I've had it now for about 3 years and will not venture out in late season without one again. The other thing that's real hard about late season bow hunting is that the iPhones when they get cold, it zaps the battery. So we'll be looking for ways to try to combat that this year. I'm using a S4 gear jackknife bow mount on my bow. If you're interested in what kind of gear I'm using, how I'm mounting it down, I did have a homemade mount, but I changed phones, and my old mount didn't work. So this S4 gear jackknife works very well on a variety of smartphones. But I'm going to be looking for a phone warmer, coming up with an idea of how to keep the phone warm, and then also portable charging mechanisms to keep the battery up to date. I do have a battery operated charger that I take with me a lot of times to keep me alive out in the field. Most important, I want you guys to share this with your friends, share this page with your friends, subscribe to the iHunt TV channel on YouTube, and make sure that you like us on Facebook. Would love to engage with you on our Facebook page, so go on there, give us a like, start posting your trophies, your videos. We'll share them with everybody. This is, I don't have sponsors, I don't have a team. You're my team, so let's all join in this together and sharing everyone's experience of hunting this year. So God bless you guys. Have a Merry Christmas.